The Mack Lake ORV Campground is located in the northern part of Michigan's Lower Peninsula, and the campground sits on Mack Lake, which is 175 acres in size and is supposedly great fishing for walleye and perch. I personally didn't feel like the campground was super well marked on my journey to try to find it, but you'll be able to find it when you get on the main road and see a whole bunch of clear cutting taking place for the Kirtland Warbler restoration. As I entered the campground, a turkey raced across the road. I had a bunch of babies somewhere out that way, and she was in a hurry to get away from me. That was right by the registration station, so that's where I'm heading to now. That turkey's still out there. She's chirping at me, and she's got a whole bunch of little chicks out there. This is a national forest campground, and you can see that some of the sites on the map here say that they're reservable, but online it says that they're not. So I imagine that's hit or miss depending on if you have a campground host. There are several QR barcodes that you can scan at the registration station for different map info for ORV riding. After registering, I'm going to get off here into the campground and start taking a look at some of the different sites. There are 42 campsites here at this camp location, and this campground mostly gets used by ORV riders because it's in such close proximity to state trails and ORV trailheads. That does not mean that you cannot come up here with your tent or camper and enjoy a nice quiet weekday stay. However, you should definitely expect weekends to fill up this campground with lots of ORVs, and most of them are going to be pretty noisy coming and going. Also, you should know that there's no time limit to how long and how late they can be out on the trails. You could have a noisy ORV pull into your campground at 3 in the morning, and that's perfectly acceptable. So know the risk when coming here. This is what the campground is for. Make sure you don't complain, and let's let everybody have their fun and use of the trails and the campgrounds out here. You can see most of the campsites are actually pretty large. They've recently had to take down some trees, it looks like. The picnic tables aren't super outdated. In fact, some of them look like they were fairly new as of last year. Some of, but not all of, the campsites actually sit right on the water. You could definitely pull a little kayak or canoe down here and put in if you wanted to. As I came down here, one of those trees I just walked past actually had a fishing pole and some tackle that somebody left leaning against it. I'm definitely leaving it there. I'm not going to be that person. Maybe they'll come back. Take a look at the lake here, and it's a long lake, and this part of the lake right here is pretty secluded from the wind, which is super nice. Partway through the campground, we have a second billboard, and that second billboard has a nice map of the area for trail riding. This is like a little picnic area down here. This is not a campsite. It's a small recreation area. There's a couple charcoal grills that are elevated on pedestals, a few little benches sitting around, and a couple picnic tables. It's definitely not huge. There is a small swim area here. You can see the buoys out there. So if you did bring kids with you, or if you're just warm, you can definitely come here and enjoy a nice swim. You can see the sky is just beautiful up there today. This is early in June, so the campground's definitely not very busy. However, like I said, it does fill up on weekends, especially later in the summer and holidays. Here's another really nice campsite. It's super deep, definitely big enough for medium to large size campers and trailers. The website says there's actually a couple of the sites that are big enough for 50-foot long rigs, so that's pretty impressive. Again, not every campsite backs up to the water like this, but many of them do. Another neat feature that some of the sites here have is that a few of them look like pull-through sites, and they're meant to be pull in and pull out of for your ATVs, off-road vehicles, not for campers and trailers for sure. But you definitely are able to get your little rigs in and out of this through that little pull-out spot. So that's kind of neat. Not every campground offers that, and I've been in several ORV campgrounds that also do not have the pull-through sites like that. The campground is laid out in 2 different loops. There is the Beaver Loop and the Warbler Loop. And we just looked at the Beaver Loop, and that's got the higher number of sites. Now we're going to go check out the Warbler Loop and check out the sites that that has to offer. I believe those are sites number 1 through 25. I don't expect to see much difference here. The sites are all fairly nice sites. There's a few small ones that would be better for just tents or very small pop-up campers. But for the most part, just like before, you could fit nice medium-sized trailers in these campsites with no problem. You can see there this site is pretty shaded, and it's another pretty deep site. You can get back in there quite a ways. And we come to one of the 2 sets of outhouses. There's one for each loop. We're going to check out this one because the other one had somebody using it. So we'll come right over here, take a quick look inside. It's nice that they actually have door latches that actually will close the door and keep it closed. Don't have to worry about any pests getting in there that way. They look nice and clean. They don't smell at all. Overall, thumbs up. Moving on, here's one of the smaller sites. Like, the site's still good size, but it's not super deep. Backing in would be hard to do with a medium-sized trailer or a pop-up camper. Definitely meant more for the tent camper. And what's interesting is that there had a sign on that pole because it had been reserved. So, super odd because the website says not reservable. So, I don't know, maybe the website needs updated. Here's my car parked at another site that was reserved. The reservation date is past, but the sign's still there. Another one that's probably better off for tents. Not super deep. There's the little bit of a picnic table and camp area way in the back there, but you definitely can't get a camper or a trailer back there that far. You can see there's a regular little garbage can back there. So again, must be not much bear activity here to be using just regular garbage cans with lids that pop right off. Otherwise, that garbage would get thrown everywhere, every night. We're going to walk back here into campsite number 6, because number 6 is a pretty big campsite, but also there's a little path right here. It looks like maybe people over the years have driven down here with their ATVs, and they are making a little path. I think the path is probably just going to lead me to the water, but I'm going to walk back and find out, because it's not very often you get a little 2-track looking trail that comes off of a campsite like that. And it does. It just leads me down to the lake, but it'd be another nice site if you're bringing a canoe or a kayak. You can pull it right up to your site in the evenings and get it right back down there during the day to go out and do some nice fishing on this lake. And again, it's just a beautiful sky. It's not a windy day. Super nice here at this campground, and it's super quiet. Here's our water spigot, and you can see there's water all over the place, so we know that's working. At least you don't have to stand there and pump by hand. And here's the location where our campground host stays, so that answers that question. You can probably do reservations.